In Kevin O'Connell, we trust. That was many fantasy managers' motto heading into the 2025 season. The Vikings were coming off a decent season with Sam Darnold after drafting JJ McCarthy in the first round in 2024. JJ McCarthy got hurt in the preseason and allowed Sam Darnold to flash. In the offseason, Sam Darnold did move on to Seattle. He ended up winning the Super Bowl. And the Vikings, well, they got JJ McCarthy with a splash of Carson Wentz, and they ended up outside of the playoffs. JJ McCarthy with Kevin O'Connell is going to be good, right? Justin Jefferson's going to be good, right? McCarthy's going to fit right in. Sam Darnold was able to do well in this offense. So what's going to happen with sophomore first-round pick JJ McCarthy? I'll tell you what, it didn't look good, and it wasn't good. He didn't even look as good as the New York Jets version of Sam Darnold. JJ McCarthy played in 10 games and threw for 1,632 yards with 11 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. In perspective, Carson Wentz played 5 games for the Minnesota Vikings and threw for 1,216 yards with 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. JJ McCarthy looked completely lost out there on the field, but lost is kind of an understatement. It looked like he just started playing the quarterback position. He tanked the entire Minnesota Vikings offense and your fantasy football team. Many thought it'd be impossible for Justin Jefferson to look so pedestrian. Many thought Justin Jefferson would survive any quarterback play, but that wasn't the case in 2025. So what happened to Justin Jefferson? Why wasn't he elite? Why was this the worst season ever? He put up 84 catches, 1,048 yards, and only 2 touchdowns. Was he being targeted? That wasn't the problem. He was 6th in the league with 141 targets. His target share was in the lower 30s, which is what we want from our wide receiver 1. The connection between him and the quarterback was just non-existent. Justin Jefferson was still putting up double-digit fantasy weeks, but 12-point games just doesn't justify his first-round ADP. His best game of the season was just 22.6 fantasy points. He was the wide receiver 8 that week. That's embarrassing for Justin Jefferson. We expect better. His poor performances were not on him, but the lack of cohesiveness with JJ McCarthy caused him to have a career low in yards per reception, receiving touchdowns, and even total yards. If Justin Jefferson wasn't good, I'm sure Jordan Addison wasn't. There isn't much to talk about. Jordan Addison was suspended for the first 3 weeks of the season and came into week 4 kind of decent. He scored 15.4 fantasy points. Then the next week he scored 15.1. And then after that, 21.8 in week 7. Is Addison going to be relevant? Is he going to be the savior for this offense? Well, he finished the season with just 6 single-digit fantasy performances in his last 9 games. He tanked your season. He wasn't even a low-end wide receiver 2. He was more of a roster clogger that nobody wanted to drop. But that seemed to be the theme for the 2025 Minnesota Vikings. Aaron Jones had the lowest amount of carries since his rookie season back in 2017. He ended the year with just 548 rushing yards and 3 total touchdowns. Aaron Jones was a non-factor, as he only gave fantasy managers useful weeks in weeks 1 and week 10. The rest of the season was totally forgettable, as he battled hamstring injuries, shoulder injuries, and even hip injuries for the entire season. The 31-year-old running back was just another roster clogger for your fantasy football roster. Jordan Mason was the other running back, or the other roster clogger, you might say. He only averaged 8 fantasy points per game and ended the season as the running back 39, but he was the lead back, so fantasy managers would not drop him. Mason only reached 100 total yards once this season, in week 3 against Cincinnati. He gave you 9 games under 9 total fantasy points, since the Vikings weren't exactly moving the ball down the field. Mason's potential shrunk as the season went along, averaging only 47.4 rushing yards a game and adding next to nothing in the passing game. Jordan Mason was a low-end running back 3 that proved that opportunity does not always mean fantasy goodness. The last disappointment we are going to cover is TJ Hockenson. Hockenson is coming off the worst season of his career in 2024 due to injuries, and he followed up with an even worse performance in 2025. He had 51 receptions, 438 receiving yards, and only 3 touchdowns. He recorded a career low 8.6 yards per reception. A player like TJ Hockenson also needs volume to succeed, and with just 4.4 targets per game, it wasn't cutting it. If you go back to his best years ever, in 2022, 2023, Hockenson was averaging around 8.5 targets a game, which led to more volume, which led to more fantasy goodness. We're totally unsure if the lack of usage in 2025 was due to TJ Hockenson himself or just a very poor quarterback play in Minnesota. One thing's for sure, every single fantasy football player on this team struggled, and it starts at the top, the most important position in football, the quarterback. They need to do something about the quarterback position. Last season, we know they wanted to keep Sam Darnold around. We heard the smoke and mirrors and the rumors about Aaron Rodgers. Where there's smoke, there is fire. It was clear the coaching staff was not impressed with JJ McCarthy. They need to bring a legitimate starting quarterback to either push this kid to greatness or just take over and make the Minnesota Vikings weapons relevant again.